Hi,
All
everyone.
right, Mark, we're
Mark
recording.
Graham from the Beacon Center, and we are really happy. We have a very special interview today. Me and our CEO, Justin O, as you know, we have DraftKings co-founder and president of North America, Matt Kalish, with us. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So for those who don't know, Tennessee's making this huge step that they legalize sports gambling, and it goes live on November 1st. And DraftKings is one of the three initial sports books that have been approved. So Justin can lose a bunch of money betting on Tennessee football now legally, which is really exciting for everyone.
I would have actually bet on Bama to get the spread this week, and they sure did, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like sports books will just lose all the money if people bet against Tennessee. Either way, but we are really excited to have you here, Matt. And this is something really new for Tennessee. So as one of kind of the biggest providers of sports betting in the world, we're excited to get your opinion on stuff. So we're excited for the rollout here. It's a great day for Tennessee, great day for freedom. Tell us kind of about the process moving forward. We have a couple of days before it's set to go, but what the rollout will look like and what consumers can expect.
Yeah, really, really excited to get going in Tennessee. It'll be at DraftKings, our 9th state, where we're rolling out our mobile sportsbook solution. But Tennessee is actually the first mobile-only state. So all of the licensing that they're doing is direct to operators like DraftKings through their mobile platforms. And so that's really our bread and butter. You know, DraftKings, almost 100% of our business is digital online. So very excited to get started. I think what the rollout will look like is, right now we're in this kind of pre-launch phase where anybody who downloads and registers for the sports betting app, you can download it right now from the App Store. And if you sign up ahead of the launch, we're giving out a $50 free bet to anyone who signs up ahead of the launch. And then once you show up post-launch, which should be imminent, there's a $1,000 welcome bonus for customers. So really, we're going to be focused on just getting the word out about the launch, making sure that our existing large database of Tennessee daily fantasy sports players are downloading the new app and giving it a try. And then also you'll see us, throughout the state advertising and just trying to, build awareness about this exciting new turn of events for Tennessee sports fans.
Yeah, I was excited when I got that email. I signed right up. I'm like, I'll do the $50 on the Jazz to win the championship. So I'll get that right back to you, but it'll be fun. But other than that, what are the benefits? I mean, other than the fun and the idea that it's a free market thing, what are the benefits of legalized sports betting in the states you've been in? And what will it bring to Tennessee other than just kind of more recreational fun?
On the consumer side, there's a lot of, I think, existing sports betting going on, but it's typically done through illegal offshore sports books or through bookies or things like that. The consumer benefits are really that, the product is safe to play because there's standards that each operator that gets a license in the state need to adhere to and meet. So for example, that, your funds are safe that you send over to an operator, that if you request a withdrawal, it's not going to take 6 or 8 weeks, you'll get it in a day. There's lots of different protections around the experience, such as, if you choose to, you can limit, the amount of money you deposit on site. You can set your own limit, the amount of time you spend on site. So some people like to use those features to make sure that their behavior is in line with what they're hoping to get out of the experience, which is it's supposed to be fun, it's recreational. And so these sort of controls don't really exist in the unregulated products. And it's one of the benefits, I think, that people who try DraftKings Sportsbook will see right out the gates.
Plus, you don't have to get checks from like the National Bank of Costa Rica or whatever, too. Like, so that's a helpful. You actually get money in your account.
Yeah, people you see, they make deposits on these offshore books and it shows up as like golf balls or something. Like, you bought $200 of golf balls? No, that's just the sports book.
I'm really bad at golf. That's why.
Yeah. It's nice to know that, everything's above board, that, I think there's some people too who are just a little bit conservative in terms of they would never want to do anything that they feel is illegal, and participating in an offshore sports book is certainly feels questionable to a lot of people. So this gives us safe to play, kind of feels nice. It feels like a good entry point for a lot of casual consumers.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference in Tennessee's law? You mentioned, it's an online only law, which is different from a lot of states. So what are some of the things you think Tennessee has done right in setting up its approach to this? And then what are some things that other states have potentially done really well that we could learn from in the future?
Yeah, Tennessee certainly got a lot of things right. I think with the legislation, they were the first state in the country. The Tennessee Lottery is, first kind of organization in the country to do direct licensing to sportsbook operators like DraftKings. All the other markets run through the brick and mortar casinos. So we do a partnership, for example, in New Jersey, we do a partnership with resorts, and we're leveraging their compliance team, their infrastructure, and we're ultimately accountable to both resorts and the DGE in New Jersey to meet the compliance rules of the state. In this case, it's the Tennessee Lottery as the regulator. We get a direct license from them, and that's our sort of a point of accountability in the state. So it's the first situation in the U.S. where you can get a direct license to operate sports betting. You pay an annual licensing fee and 20% tax rate. One of the really important aspects of all of these bills is you need to have a competitive tax rate. If you can't compete with the illegal offshore operators, there's really no point in legalizing and regulating it, because the product that consumers see will be so inferior to what they can get in the illegal market. It just doesn't work. So that's really our framework, though, is we like big, open, competitive marketplaces with tax rates that are tenable to compete with the illegal offshore book. And we think Tennessee got a lot of that right.
Good. And then, more broadly, Beacon's been working a lot on innovation issues. We want to be a magnet for innovators and job creators and entrepreneurs. And a lot of that has to do with our tax policy, right? How competitive are we from a tax standpoint? How much regulation and red tape do we put on entrepreneurs as they look to come into the state? So thinking more big picture, as essentially a tech company, what are those things that you look at when going into a state beyond just they've legalized sports betting? What are some of the other things that you look at from a policy standpoint that it's worth keeping in mind as we want to be more attractive to similar companies to DraftKings?
Well, one of the most important aspects is definitely the mobile. We believe that consumers statewide should be able to register and participate through digital platforms like their phone or their desktop. So anything that's sort of like an in-person registration requirement or retail only, there's still some markets that started out with, physical sports betting only, but not mobile. And what we've seen is now they're kind of going back and revisiting that policy and saying, okay, I see what's going on, 80, 90% of the volume and the consumer demands coming through mobile. So I think that there's, in these early years, a lot of learning. And the state-by-state rollout is certainly, interesting, because you can see lots of different examples of how different states are dealing with these questions and kind of see what's working and what's not. So I'd say the number one piece is, embracing mobile registration statewide is pretty much the key. And then in terms of like the content available, the product, there's a pretty good amount of uniformity. And I think really what we look for is states to embrace, opening up the full breadth of global sports content and all the different betting formats to consumers. Because we believe, if anything's sort of missing from the regulated offering, that creates a vacuum or a window for business to go into the illegal market. So things like, broad offerings of live in-play, proposition bets, as much as possible, where you believe that the league has high integrity and you can trust the operation of the league. We think all of those sort of sports and bet types should be allowed in each market, and then let our team kind of come up with the creative side of, what do we want to put in front of consumers from there.
Absolutely.
That's great. I mean, I think the best thing about coming to Tennessee is now you can hopefully spend more time here and less time in New Jersey, which everyone prefers. But it's good that, but we are really glad to have you. I mean, we're glad to have. I know we have 3 sports books to start with, and potentially more after that. But I really, really appreciate your time. And I mean, you gave consumers a little bit in Tennessee to see what's going to be expected. And again, if you want to download the DraftKings app, you said just go to the Google Play Store, download it, you get a $50 free bet. So you can't beat that. Anything else you want to add before you go, Matt?
Yeah, really excited to experience the first few days of the launch. Hopefully everything goes tremendously well. And, Tennessee will always be near and dear to DraftKings. One of our first partners when we launched back in 2012 was Roto Grinders, who's based in Nashville, led by somebody named Cal Spears, who's been a tremendous advocate, in the early days for fantasy sports. and kind of advancing that in the U.S. now with sports betting. So I think, tremendous state. We're really excited to see, the reception that DraftKings Sportsbook gets over the next, several weeks. So thank you very much.
Good luck.
It will definitely open better than the Obamacare website, we promise. But no, thank you so much for joining us, Matt. And we are excited to have you, and we're excited for November 1st to come along. So thanks for your time.
All right. Take care.
You too.